Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com.
Welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be with Adam Goldman, a franchise consultant and coach who helps professionals evaluate franchise ownership, build a curated shortlist of opportunities, and move through due diligence. Adam, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Great to be here, Seth.
It is great to have you. Let's go back in time a little bit. How did you get started?
I got started in franchising by mistake. It's fascinating because I graduated from business school, was doing real estate investing in 2008. I know I'm aging myself, right? And saw my deals drying up, talked to a friend who had a friend in this industry. And he's like, hey, you should look into franchises. I thought it was only about McDonald's and like just flipping burgers in the back of a restaurant. Turns out that there are brands in 75 different industries. There are thousands of different franchises. Saw one that really resonated for me. And now I've been in the industry now for 16 years.
Wow, that is absolutely incredible. So how did your experience kind of lead you into the franchise world?
So the way that I kind of got into it by accident, right? What's exciting about franchising is I'm the kind of person that's really good at following a system or process, but I don't love creating that from scratch, just like many of my candidates. And so it kind of was a really good fit for me because I really like to create businesses and I really love entrepreneurship. So it's almost like riding a bicycle with training wheels.
That makes a lot of sense. I believe you grew a franchise operation to more than 30 franchisees and 300 customers. What were some of the lessons you learned along the way?
Well, some lessons I learned is that there are different types of owners, and I wasn't the type of owner that enjoys as much when it's a aircraft carrier and it's been in business for 8.5 years. It's a lot, for me at least, it's a lot more fun to get this thing off the ground and going than kind of dealing with all the operational challenges of an existing franchise.
And when did you realize that kind of franchising could be a powerful path for people who want the bicycle with training wheels on it?
I knew it from when I started in 2010, right? So I used a franchise coach. I thought, wait a second here. I didn't even know this world existed. Had this amazing mentor of mine that came to visit me. And still keep in contact with these people to this day. I'm like, wow, this is a great match because I didn't necessarily, with my candidates that I place now, what they tell me is that the value of a good franchise system is about all the mistakes that you otherwise would have made.
That's a perfect segue. So what were some mistakes that you made early on as an entrepreneur that now help you coach others?
As a franchisee or before I was a franchisee?
Let's do both, before and after.
Okay. So before being a franchisee, one of the biggest challenges I had is I was very system light. I remember like just kind of going to a networking event and just kind of having all these ideas in my head and writing them down, but I didn't have a process or system in general. That was not my strength. And the franchise brand allowed me to have that which is great. The biggest mistakes that I made when I started my franchise was not necessarily following the model the way that I should have. I thought somehow I knew it better. And it's really the success, in my opinion, Seth, is not in reinventing the wheel, but really, especially at the beginning, using that wheel and using that system to the best you can.
What kind of person is usually a good fit for franchise ownership?
Well, I'll tell you who's not. The kind of person that doesn't see value in a system, they shouldn't be paying royalty fees. It's a different type of entrepreneur. It's the kind of person that likes the idea of having process and system and sees the value in having a system or process. So it's not like one size fits all. I have some brands that are very sales heavy and I have others that are operationally heavy. You don't necessarily have to have one specific trait, but you have to be good at business in general.
What is the difference between buying a job and buying a scalable business?
Well, what I would say is, unfortunately, some brands in my industry, you are buying a job, not necessarily the ones that are in my inventory. And even in owner operator type businesses, right? You do have to be in the business sometimes, as opposed to being on the business. For my candidates, the biggest thing they tell me is that they're searching for freedom from their corporate job. They want to work on their own terms. It's not like they don't want to work, but they want to work for themselves. They're tired of making other people rich. I know that sounds pretty trite, but that's really what I hear, the reality I hear a lot. And the difference between owning a business and actually working for someone else is agency and freedom.
What do people often misunderstand about the relationship between the franchisee and the franchisor?
People are in one of two buckets. The first bucket is they think that the franchisor is going to do everything for them, meaning that they don't have to do anything else. They just have mailbox money and they hang out. The second one is the people that think that the franchise brand is going to do nothing for them. The reality is somewhere in between. They're going to give you the system, they're going to give you advice and training, but at the end of the day, you need to make this thing happen.
What you talk about finding the right franchise before committing. What does right fit actually mean?
So, look, it's not one specific thing. It's a bunch of different things, and it's based on characteristics. The one thing that I think that people miss is how important culture is in a cultural fit. And what I mean by this is that I coach my candidates that they're going on a marriage, right? And it's got to be something where you really are aligned with values and culture with the franchisor. People tend to underestimate that.
What questions should people ask themselves before they even start looking at a franchise?
I think the most important question you need to ask is, frankly, how long they're willing to go before they start making money. I wish that I was in a fairy tale land and you're making money from day one. In reality, even these businesses have really quick ROI, and I'm talking mostly about a non-storefront business, it takes some time. And the biggest mistake that I see my investors make is, especially when we have black swan events like COVID, not necessarily having enough cushion and coming up with a best case, an average case, and a worst case scenario when it comes to cash flow.
What are the red flags that an opportunity might not be right for somebody?
Culture, I would say, and the biggest way you find that out is through validation and talking to existing franchisees. You see these people and you're like, you talk to them on the phone. Every franchise brand, just like anything in life, Seth's going to have under, average, and over performers. If you can't find anyone that's an over performer, that's a waving red flag, and I would run.
How should the franchise disclosure document can be intimidating? It can be very thick. How should someone read something like that without getting overwhelmed?
I would caution people to not spend as much time on the FDD and spend more time on validation. And the reason why is the FDD is really not written for you. It has important info, namely the items 19 and 7, which are earnings claims and investment levels. But you learn a lot more about the franchisor by asking questions to franchisees and asking the right questions. In fact, to my candidates, I give them a set of questions to ask, and that's very powerful.
I would imagine that is really helpful, especially since you've helped hundreds or thousands of them. You would know what to ask. What do people often misunderstand? You talked about the money. What do people often misunderstand about how much they as a franchise owner can make?
Well, I mean, it, I think that the challenge people have is, frankly, people see something in the FDD if they have an item 19, which is earnings claims. And you're certainly able to do that, but you have to actually work at it to make it, right? So just because it has X amount in the item 19, you could be the most, you could have a Chick-fil-A in the most amazing location, right? But if you're not operating, then you're not going to make much money at all.
What is the biggest myth about franchising?
That it's only fast food and you're going to be the one in the back flipping burgers.
What are some industries that have franchises in that people might be surprised to discover?
Well, I'm not saying that they should invest in this, right? But the most weird franchise I've ever heard of, Seth, is there's something called goose chasers, which is you come with dogs to a golf course and you chase geese. I'm not saying that that's the average franchise, but one of the hottest franchises right now, which is not very glamorous, is anything related to seniors. Something like 12,000 Americans are turning 65 every day. So it's just a huge, huge market right now and a huge opportunity.
That makes a lot of sense. How do you juggle? You talked about corporate America. How do you help people juggle if they've got an existing job while starting a franchise?
One of the best things about the franchising world, one of the trends I'm seeing recently, is brands that otherwise wouldn't allow people to invest in a franchise and to keep their job. They're getting much more creative about manager-led or semi-passive opportunities where maybe it's your spouse that's taking the lead role from day one. Or maybe you have a flexible job where it's a remote job and you have X amount of hours, right? So there's a lot more flexibility from the franchise brands because they realize that some of this top talent isn't necessarily ready to leave right away. And that's a great thing from a cash flow perspective.
You've helped thousands of folks make the transition. What's your biggest challenge now?
My biggest challenge always, right, is to find qualified people, right, and to speak with them. And because many people don't even know that a role like mine exists, right? They go online, they typically search for franchises the wrong way. They might type something in, they might even dig deep. My philosophy is that before you even dig deep into a few different brands, you should take this universe of thousands of brands and really narrow it down to three that would fit you the best, and then you can dig deep. But kind of start with a wide net first, as opposed to really focusing on one that probably isn't a good characteristic fit for you.
That makes sense. Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
That I'm really helping people and changing their life. So when this thing works out, it is not only, oh my gosh, this is great, but it's a life-changing type thing. I mean, we're talking about something where someone before was in a job, maybe they worked in the energy industry and they were away from their family for a few weeks per every month, and now all of a sudden they have agency, they're doing something that they like, and that's a powerful place to be.
Absolutely. For our folks who are watching or listening, where is the best place for them to go to learn more about you and the franchise coach?
Go to franchisecoach.net, schedule a free 15-minute chat, and if I don't think you're a fit for my free service, I promise to let you know.
That is fair. What do you do in your spare time? What do you do for fun?
I'm a little bit embarrassed about this, Seth, but one of my favorite things to do is puzzling, jigsaw puzzles. It is such a great way to use. Look, I mean, I'm getting in these complex conversations with people, life-changing. I really enjoy the complexity of a really good jigsaw puzzle. I think it's great. I'm using a different part of my brain.
That is awesome. Well, we know your time's incredibly valuable. We greatly appreciate spending some of it with us. This has been Seth Greene with Adam Goldman from franchisecoach.net. Adam, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so much, Seth.
Thank you, everybody, for watching or listening. We will talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.